Whoa. Okay, guys, this is interesting, right? So let's do a little song together to cheer this up, and then let's get into the video. All right. Okay, so Bitcoin is now below 100K. And all these newbies act like this is not okay. Because you only buy the top, and when it's down, it's dead as fuck, and
Gay!
sorry, you will never make money in this way. I don't know. Weird intro. ADHD. Deal with it. But Bitcoin is below 100K right now. Is it over? Is it dead? Is it... whoop, back it up. I don't know, man. I don't know. All I can say is, like, let's take a look at where the opportunities are, because it's kind of funny, and I want to make it very short about the psychology behind this, right? Welcome, like the video if you like the video, if you still have a reason to like the video at least, and subscribe to the channel if you feel like, yeah, this is what I want to see more often for some reason. Now, Bitcoin, yeah, below 100K. You know what it is? The only thing, it's a psychological thing, right? Because at the end of the day, this whole week, Bitcoin had a correction of 10%. Yeah, welcome. It's crypto. Like, that's normal. We have many weeks where we see corrections of 10%. And at the end of the day, it was never a problem, right? So, of course, there are people saying like, well, yeah, 50 weekly moving average, and below that, it's over. I think it's kind of bullshit. One, it's just one moving average, right? And if we go off of indicators, then I would say let's also look at the 30 top indicators that haven't flashed. But no, we are not going to do that, I guess. But other than that, yeah, it's closed below it multiple times in the past, and we were still in a bull market. It went in 2019 below it, 2020. If you go back in time, we were also below it in 2011, 2012. So I don't know. It is kind of nuts to assume that that's the case. And other than that, yeah, of course, we have the fact that it is now November 2025. Right, like, hey, it's the end of the post-halving year, so it should be over. You know, another reason to think, like, why could it be over is because Bitcoin in the first cycles went kind of vertical, right? It went parabolic, and then there are a lot of people in profit, so they can take profit. And this time, yeah, it's just like Bitcoin does what it always does. It goes up, and then it goes sideways for a long time. It sweeps these lows, up, sideways, sweep the low, up, sideways, sweep the low, up, sideways, sweep the low, up, sideways, and we're now sweeping the low. What is different now than what it was over here? Right, the same structure is still there. Also, I just want to mention real quick that if you look, and I mentioned this a couple times, and you will probably hear me mention this more often, but if you look at the business cycle, look, crypto, Bitcoin is crypto. Crypto is money. Money is liquidity. It follows the business cycle more than it does with calendars, astrology, and all that kind of stuff. Right? So if we look at the business cycle, where it is sitting right now, the United States Manufacturing New Orders ISM, it's not at the top. And you might say, like, what does that have to do with it? Well, every time we had the top on the ISM, you can overlay Bitcoin and see that that's exactly where Bitcoin topped out, right? So it's also the question like, hey, what if Bitcoin is not in a 4-year cycle? What if it just follows the liquidity cycle? Makes more sense that to say that it follows the liquidity cycle than November, in my opinion, right? But I get it. I mean, people are kind of freaked out like, man, if this was a bull market, this was not rewarding, then I am not ready for this bear market, right? So I should just back up. I should just like leave and don't come back. It's over, yada, yada, yada. I get it. I get the feeling, but I hope you also get that trading off of feelings has never made somebody money, all right? If you ever feel like, wow, look at it go, I should buy right now, that's like where you should have sold. It's completely the other way around. And I really hope that you get that, because it is like that simple, right? Now, if you take a look at the Fear and Greed Index, our platform is coming soon, by the way, and blockchain, dude, like, this is so amazing. We have these risk, we have a lot, and it will be updated quite a lot with some cool stuff. But the Bitcoin risk level is currently sitting at 40%. It's not a level that you say like, wow, this is the buying DCA area. But it's also at least just as far from a selling area as well. But if you look at the fear and greed, like, we can make this very complicated. But where in this cycle was it a good time to sell when there was fear. Like you have this period of fear right here at the beginning of the cycle, and that was kind of the local bottom right here. We had that same amount of fear right here. That was the local bottom. We have the same amount right here. Now, of course, it could stay in a low fear area for a while Bitcoin is still going down. But overall, that's where you DCA. And you DCA out whenever there is a lot of greed right here. And even if you look at real bear markets, right? Because there are people that think that we're in a bear market. And it's good, like I'm not ruling anything out, but it's not my base case. But even during a bear market, if you look at like fear, even then, buying was a great idea because at least you got a good pump right here as well. You bought it right here. You got a good pump right here. You got a good pump right here. So overall, I'm like, man, whatever happens short term, take advantage of the fear that's here, right? That always worked. And when we become a little greedy again, because look, it's now maybe hard to imagine, but crypto will also go up again, right? Then take some profits off of the table. It is like that simple. Now, we can take a look at a lot of cool stuff. For example, there's the Coinbase app rank, and that shows how many people are kind of interested in crypto right now. And that's at the moment, I think, not loading as we are currently updating it. Okay, fuck, that was like totally too bad. But overall, my point is like, that app rank is still sitting pretty low, and that measures the retail interest quite good, right? So there is also just not a lot of retail interest right now, which is historically also a great level to say like, okay, let's buy. Now, even if Bitcoin now goes into a bear market, let's say, indicator sentiment, nothing matters anymore, right? It's just magically freaking November, and that's all there is to it. And we go into a bear market, I just don't feel right. But also my logic behind it is that we don't like go down that hard, because in the first place we never went up that hard. Look here, in the last cycle, Bitcoin went into a 77% bear market. Yeah, but it's also because maybe we went up with like 2100% in the first place. Right? And I know it's all diminishing right here as well. But yeah, therefore losses are also diminishing. Now, I made a video about that, how low we can potentially go. And I think that's going to be around 70K, worst case, if the top is already here. But all in all, I think that the max pain is going to be totally different. The max pain is not going to be, in my opinion, this. Why not? Max pain is where most people get wrecked. Now, again, there's not a lot of retail right now. So most people are not even here to get wrecked. The people that are here, like, it's maybe kind of 50-50, but as far as I see it, most people are now like saying it could be over, bear market, this and that. There's still some people being bullish out there, but it's not the majority, right? And I think that the max pain is going to be that people now think it's going to be a bear market just because it is Q4, and that it turns out that it's not a bear market because, again, freaking business cycle, liquidity cycle, everything basically, and that we might do something like this, and the people then feel like, oh yeah, it's over, and then we just have a huge leg up and people are fully sidelined right there. Also, if I look at the Bitcoin number, because, you know, even if we go into a bear market for Bitcoin, that's from this point to 70K, it's like 30% down. That's not that bad, right? So if you're fully into Bitcoin and you expect a bear market, you're probably not even going to sell at this point. It's more that people are scared for alts, because overall, we say if Bitcoin goes down 30%, altcoins go down 5 million%. Yeah, look, overall, that is the case, but it's also because overall the Bitcoin dominance mostly goes up or sideways, and we have very short-lived periods where it goes down, which brings us into an alt season, right? This right here lasted from January, and we basically already had the bottom there in May. Right? And that's freaking it. We had the second leg of alt season right here. We had the first leg, bam, sideways for a long time. Second leg from December until January. It was 1 month, right? So I must say that even if Bitcoin goes down in, let's say, a 30% correction from this point, it depends what the Bitcoin dominance does. Like worst case, my absolute worst case scenario right now that I think that could still play out, but like, okay, is that Bitcoin top is in. We go into a bear market, we hit around 70K, and the Bitcoin dominance stays elevated, and it goes maybe a little sideways, maybe a little up, and yada, yada. That could bring altcoins down. You know, the total altcoin market, total 3ES is now sitting at 600 something. It's sitting at 620, could go to 300 billion, right? And then low caps are fucked. That's my worst case scenario. Cool. If you want to prevent yourself from getting into the low case or worst case scenario, don't be in low caps. If you want to have exposure to alts, then just make sure that you are in alts that are not terrible, right? And in that way, you also have the exposure to outperform Bitcoin, because if we stick to the seasonality, right, which we are planning to in this video, right, seasonality, Bitcoin will go into bear market. Okay, seasonality is also alt season at this point. Yeah, what if that also plays out and it does this, right? Then you at least want to be in the asset that outperforms at that time, right? So make sure that you are in the ETH kind coins, Solana, AVEXs, whatever, just the coins that don't completely suck around a $20 million market cap or something like that. Then it's fine. Because what we have seen in 2017 as well, when Bitcoin topped out, and that's a scenario that we could see right now as well. I'm not saying that we will, but we could, right? In 2017, when Bitcoin topped out, that's where alt season actually started. We had a big ass blow off top on Bitcoin. There was no distribution phase. We had no time to sell at all, right? And if you then overlay what happened to the altcoin market on its Bitcoin pair, so the alt season market chart basically, you can see Bitcoin top, and that's what alt season like blasted, right? And it's not weird because whales feel like, okay, Bitcoin, the run is over, let's move into the next one. If you then look at the alt season or altcoin chart on the dollar pair, because you might be like, yeah, altcoins can outperform Bitcoin, but if Bitcoin goes down really hard, altcoins on the dollar pair still go down. Depends how hard one is up versus how hard the other is going down. But if you look at that chart, you can see that, hey, Bitcoin topped out right here, and the altcoin market, kind of, it depends where you take it from, had an insane run at that point still, right? So that's something that we can definitely still see. And I know what you're gonna type in the comments, because hey, that's the period of the market that we're in right now. You're a fucking idiot, you're a moron for being bullish and all. That sentiment is exactly the reason why it could happen, because the sentiment sucks. This is the moment in the market that YouTubers are not being like, I should have never followed you. No, people are literally cursing, right? People are mad, scared, emotional, wrecked. And you know when else that was the case, right? Exactly here. Show you alt season chart, all right? Overlay Bitcoin. Yeah, all right? Because what happened? Well, here in this previous market, Bitcoin went into a bear market, altcoins went into a bear market with it, right? Bitcoin bottomed, cool, and went up. And people thought, let's go alts, right? Especially this first part. Alts on the Bitcoin pair went up a little bit, so people had a lot of hope. And then what happened? Altcoins against Bitcoin, they nuked to the downside, completely nuked. And Bitcoin, I don't know, man, it was holding up pretty well, right? Bitcoin was just sitting here, yada, 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 not really going down that hard, right? Altcoins on the Bitcoin pair completely tanked. And then what happened? Bitcoin started to recover, especially from this point, started to go up, 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 up. What happened to alts? They went sideways for like almost a year. And then they had a final capitulation. They completely tanked against Bitcoin, right? Well, that was terrible. Like now it sucks. Back then it was freaking terrible, right? Obviously, here people said like, well, fuck, this is over, it's done, I'm out. Like, I should have been in Bitcoin, let's capitulate to Bitcoin. Or to like stables, be sidelined. And then what happened? It flew. Why? Because it's not a matter of like bringing money in the market necessarily. there was a lot of money already sitting in Bitcoin, right? And I said before that when it comes to liquidity, it's totally different. $1 out of liquidity from Bitcoin into the altcoin market equals $5 or $10 market cap in alts. Right? So the market cap for altcoins can go up really hard without new money necessarily being added to the market, because the liquidity impact is simply just bigger. So if you ever wonder, like, where's the money coming from? Well, from anywhere, but basically we already have money right there. Right? Altcoins went on an insane alt season right here, while Bitcoin kind of tanked from $38,000 to $31,000. And you feel like, what? It's not a lot. That's a 30% correction, right? So here alt season started during a Bitcoin 30% correction. Here it started during a Bitcoin bear market. And so if you're rooting for alts, then if anything, you should be happy with the Bitcoin decline, because we have never seen an alt season in the first place where Bitcoin was just going up and making new highs. That literally never happened. We are back above 100 freaking K. And all these newbies tell me that it is okay. I don't know. But therefore, like, going down with BTC, look, if you want an alt season, then if we should base it on history, that's what we want, right? That's what we want. We want whales to take their money out of BTC and put it into alts, right? And not that Bitcoin is going up all the time. Then these whales are going to ride Bitcoin, and then there's nothing for alts in the first place. So I'm not that worried about anything at the moment, actually. And I'll be bearish when I need to be bearish. But again, if I look at this chart right here, I'm like, man, it is very simple for me, actually. You buy low, you sell high. We all know that, right? Apart from the feelings that you get whenever we are sitting at low levels, you know, theoretically, right? That's what it is. That's what works. Yeah, and I'm looking at this chart and I'm like, we're sitting low. Could it go a little low? Yeah, sure. I don't know. Maybe. I have no idea. But overall, I don't want to time the bottom as well, right? People who bought here, I don't know if we are similar to here, right? Or here, I don't know, right? Overall, I do know that the people who just dollar costed this area, they were happy, right? But the problem is that there's no guarantee that we will do this again. And people, whenever we are sitting low, try to find a lot of reasons that this will never happen again. Yeah. Look, at a certain point, and again, when, what, I don't know, but at a certain point, it will go up again. Right? Worst case, we are already in a bear market and you don't make money with your alts, but you make Bitcoin with your alts. Screw that, because you also know that Bitcoin at one point will be higher than what it is today. So the only thing that maybe is a potential downside is that it takes a little longer for you to eventually convert it into dollars. But eventually you will. So it's more like, again, it all comes down to emotions and patience. These are your enemies, right? Not the YouTubers that you're cursing at, not the Elon, Trump, the market makers, whoever you want to like. It's your own feeling, your own patience, everything that's something with emotions, right? So have a little patience. I'm very bullish on this market, right? Because again, if we stick to seasonality, then it isn't over, right? Then you can see right here, this isn't over. We are not at the top. Hey, and maybe, just maybe, this is a crazy market and Bitcoin just follows liquidity and not calendars. Maybe, right? And if that hypothetical theory is actually true, then we have nothing to worry about. And if it's not true, then it's fucking weird. But then we could go into a bear market. But again, then the bear market might be a little bit mild, actually. In the meantime, still proud of the last trade that we took on the channel, because if you look at altcoins on the Ethereum pair, hey, they have a pretty decent run-up right here. They're very strong, and that shows only that the indicator that we use for that you can find on Blockchain Decoded soon, buying into the blue, it works. Got the bottom right there. So So whatever not dollar related, I can now, if I want, which I'm not going to do yet, but convert it to ETH, and I have more ETH right now. So I kind of hedged as well with that trade to make sure that I'm not writing it down harder than I need to, because ETH took a harder hit than alts lately, and that was a nice way to prevent that reckoning from happening. So let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think about the market? Not what do you feel, but what do you think? There's a big difference between that for some people, I guess. So let me know down below. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.